Good evening, everyone. I want to begin tonight with a truth that we often forget. Healing begins when we stop running from pain. It starts when we allow ourselves to feel it fully without judgment or shame. We all carry burdens. Some of us carry them for years, holding on tightly because we fear what will happen if we let go. We may tell ourselves that we don't have the time, the strength, or the space to process everything we've been through. But the reality is this: healing does not wait for the perfect moment. Healing happens when we choose to face what is hurting us. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, something to be avoided or hidden at all costs. We are taught to present ourselves as strong, confident, and in control, fearing that exposing our true selves will make us susceptible to judgment, criticism, or rejection. But what if I told you that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but the very thing that allows us to heal and grow? When we open ourselves up to vulnerability, we invite the possibility of connection, understanding, and transformation. It's in these moments of openness that we start to mend, to untangle the knots of pain and fear we've accumulated over time. Vulnerability is not about being exposed in the way many people think. It's not about oversharing or being unguarded in every situation. Rather, it's about being honest with ourselves and others about what we are truly feeling and experiencing. It's about daring to show up in the world with our full humanity without fear of rejection or perfection. It's easy to think that in order to heal, we need to be invulnerable, that we need to toughen up and push through the pain without letting it affect us. But in reality, when we shut ourselves off from vulnerability, we also shut ourselves off from the very experiences that can lead us to emotional freedom. Only when we allow ourselves to feel what we are feeling, without trying to escape or deny it, can we begin to heal the wounds that have been carried for far too long. Vulnerability asks us to take the brave step of facing our own imperfections and acknowledging our pain. When we do this, we create a space for others to do the same. It's through this shared vulnerability that we find healing, not just for ourselves, but in our relationships with others. Vulnerability allows us to connect in a way that is deeply authentic. It gives us the courage to lean on those around us and let them support us. And in turn, it allows us to offer our support to others. It's important to understand that vulnerability isn't about seeking validation or sympathy. It's about allowing ourselves to be real without the need to guard or perform. When we allow vulnerability, we accept that healing is a messy and unpredictable process. We understand that it might not happen all at once and that it may require us to confront parts of ourselves we've long ignored. But it is only in this honest confrontation with our true selves that we are able to let go of the things that no longer serve us and ultimately to heal. What we fail to realize is that vulnerability is not just a path to healing, it's also the key to living a fulfilled, wholehearted life. Through vulnerability, we become more attuned to our needs, desires, and dreams. We give ourselves permission to exist just as we are without needing to prove ourselves to anyone. And in this space, we create room for real change, for the kind of growth that comes from truly embracing who we are, flaws and all. When we embrace vulnerability, we stop running from our pain and instead begin the courageous process of allowing it to move through us. We acknowledge our fears, our wounds, and our struggles, but we also trust that through this process, we will emerge stronger and more complete. Vulnerability is the portal through which we heal, transform, and ultimately step into the fullness of our own humanity. It may not always be easy, but it is the only path that leads us back to ourselves. Pain is an inevitable part of being human, yet it is often something we strive to avoid at all costs. Whether it's emotional pain, physical pain, or the discomfort of confronting difficult truths, we spend much of our lives seeking ways to numb, distract, or escape from it. We tell ourselves that we can outsmart pain, outrun it, or simply push through it without truly facing it. However, this approach only prolongs our suffering, and often it leaves us stuck in a cycle where the pain is buried beneath the surface, continuing to affect us in ways we may not even realize. The truth is, avoiding pain only keeps it hidden, and it doesn't give us the chance to heal. When we try to avoid pain, we deny ourselves the opportunity to learn from it, to understand its lessons, and to use it as a stepping stone toward growth. Pain is not something to be feared, it is something to be understood. It is a part of our human experience that deserves attention and respect. When we confront pain directly, we allow ourselves the chance to explore what it truly means. By sitting with it rather than running from it, we begin to uncover its root causes. Sometimes pain comes from an old wound, something that has been festering for years without our knowledge. Other times, it is the result of something more recent in experience, a loss, a betrayal. Regardless of its source, pain is always a signal. It is telling us that something needs attention, that something within us is out of balance, that something is calling for healing. Confronting pain means not just acknowledging its presence, but giving ourselves permission to feel it deeply. It means stopping the endless cycle of distraction and allowing ourselves to fully experience the discomfort. This does not mean we need to wallow in it, but it does mean that we must be present with it. Only when we sit with our pain do we gain the clarity needed to move forward. Denying it or trying to push it away only delays our healing process, while confronting it allows us to process it, to understand it, and eventually to release it. Pain, when avoided, becomes a weight we carry with us unknowingly. It seeps into our relationships, our work, and our sense of self. It shapes the way we respond to the world and the way we interact with others. The longer we avoid facing it, the more control it gains over us. By confronting our pain, we take back that control. We regain agency over our emotional lives and allow ourselves to process what we've been through, not in isolation, but in connection with our own heart. Confronting pain is not a sign of weakness, it is an act of immense courage. It is the willingness to face the things that scare us the most. And while this may seem daunting, it is the only way to free ourselves from the grip that pain has over us. It is in those moments of courage, when we choose to stop running and start confronting, that we begin to see the other side of pain, the space where healing can begin. Pain doesn't simply disappear because we try to avoid it. It may hide for a time, but it will find its way back, often in unexpected ways. Confronting it head on gives us the tools to heal and learn. It allows us to process emotions that we may have long ignored or repressed. It helps us to stop living in fear of what might happen if we allow ourselves to feel deeply. Instead, we start to recognize that we can withstand the intensity of pain. We have the resilience to carry it and to emerge on the other side wiser and more whole. The process of confronting pain also includes giving ourselves the grace to not have all the answers immediately. There's no timeline for healing. We may not always understand why we are hurting or what the deeper purpose of the pain is, and that's okay. The key is to be willing to explore it, to let it unfold without the pressure to fix it right away. This willingness to be present with pain, to sit in the discomfort of uncertainty, is where we begin to reclaim our power and our peace. By confronting pain, we make space for transformation. It may take time, and it may require us to face parts of ourselves that we would rather leave untouched, but this is where true healing happens. We can't heal what we refuse to acknowledge. So when pain shows up, we must meet it with the same courage and compassion we would offer a friend. It is only by embracing the fullness of our pain that we can allow the possibility of healing to enter our lives. Forgiveness and acceptance are two of the most powerful, yet often misunderstood components of healing. We hear these words often, and sometimes we think of them as a simple checklist: forgive and then move on. But in reality, both forgiveness and acceptance are much deeper, more complex processes that require time, reflection, and an open heart. They are not quick fixes or easy solutions. They are practices that require patience, self-awareness, and compassion. Forgiveness is not about condoning wrongdoing or excusing harmful behavior. It is not about saying that what happened was okay or that we should forget the pain caused by others. Forgiveness is, at its core, about releasing the hold that anger, resentment, and hurt have over us. When we hold on to grudges, we essentially keep ourselves chained to the past, allowing it to control our present. Forgiveness allows us to take back our power and to free ourselves from the emotional burden of past wrongs. It is important to recognize that forgiveness is not a gift we give to the person who hurt us. It is a gift we give to ourselves. By forgiving, we are letting go of the heavy weight of bitterness that keeps us stuck in a cycle of suffering. Forgiveness is a choice, one that requires vulnerability, because it means acknowledging the pain we've experienced and then making the decision to release it. It is not always an instantaneous process. Sometimes it takes time to move from hurt to forgiveness, and that's okay. It's not about rushing or forcing it. It's about allowing ourselves the time and space to genuinely let go. Acceptance, on the other hand, is about coming to terms with reality even when it's difficult to do so. It is about accepting ourselves as well as the people and situations that we cannot change. Acceptance doesn't mean we have to like what happened or agree with it. It simply means we acknowledge the truth of the situation and make peace with it. In many ways, acceptance is the counterpart to forgiveness. While forgiveness frees us from the emotional grasp of resentment, acceptance allows us to see things as they are without the constant need to fight against them. It is about finding peace in the present moment, even if it's not what we envisioned or hoped for. Acceptance requires us to release the illusion of control, the belief that we can change the past or force a different outcome. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes things happen that are beyond our understanding or our ability to influence. Acceptance is the practice of recognizing that we cannot control every aspect of our lives, and that there is wisdom in letting go of the need to do so. It's not about giving up or resigning ourselves to a life of disappointment. Rather, it's about surrendering to what is, trusting that we have the strength to cope with what comes our way, and embracing the uncertainty of life without fear or resistance. When we forgive, we begin the process of letting go of the pain and hurt caused by others, but forgiveness also requires that we forgive ourselves. Often we are our harshest critics. We hold ourselves to impossible standards and beat ourselves up over every misstep. To truly heal, we need to offer ourselves the same compassion that we so freely offer others. We need to forgive ourselves for the mistakes we've made, the things we wish we had done differently, and the ways we feel we've fallen short. Only when we extend forgiveness to ourselves can we fully heal and move forward. Acceptance, too, starts within. We must accept ourselves as we are, imperfections and all. We are often caught in the trap of comparison, judging ourselves against others and feeling that we're not enough. But acceptance is about recognizing that we are worthy exactly as we are in this moment without needing to change or be something else. It's about embracing our flaws, our strengths, our vulnerabilities, and our uniqueness, knowing that they are all part of the beautiful, complex person we are. When we practice forgiveness and acceptance, we make space for growth. We stop holding on to old wounds and resentments that keep us stuck in the past. We stop trying to change things that we cannot control and begin to focus our energy on what we can change: our attitudes, our responses, and our outlook. Both forgiveness and acceptance are deeply transformative acts. They allow us to let go of what weighs us down and to create the emotional and mental space necessary for healing to take place. As we forgive and accept, we also come to understand that healing is a process. It's not linear, and it doesn't happen overnight. We will face setbacks and moments of doubt along the way. But each step we take toward forgiveness and acceptance is a step toward freedom. It is a step toward peace. And in this journey, we come to realize that we are not defined by our pain, but by our ability to rise above it and find the strength to move forward. Resilience is one of the most profound qualities we possess as human beings. It's not something we are born with in fixed amounts, but rather something we cultivate, grow, and develop over time. Resilience is the ability to bounce back after setbacks, to rise after being knocked down, and to continue moving forward even when the path seems unclear or impossible. It's about remaining steadfast, not because we are immune to difficulty, but because we know that the strength to keep going lies within us, even in our darkest moments. When we think of resilience, we often think of people who have experienced unimaginable hardship and yet continue to thrive. We think of those who have faced adversity, whether it's loss, trauma, failure, or disappointment, and managed to move forward with strength, courage, and purpose. But resilience is not only about surviving the worst moments of our lives, it is also about how we navigate the everyday challenges, the small struggles, and the ongoing obstacles that life throws our way. It's the capacity to keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when the world seems overwhelming. At its core, resilience is about adaptability. Life does not unfold in predictable ways, and we cannot always control the circumstances we face, but we can control how we respond to them. Resilience isn't about staying the same in the face of change. It's about learning to adjust, to bend, and to grow with the shifting tides. Resilience is about seeing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to our happiness. It's the ability to see the silver lining in the storm cloud, the lesson in the hardship, and the strength in the struggle. One of the most powerful aspects of resilience is its connection to our mindset. Our beliefs about ourselves and the world around us directly influence our ability to be resilient. When we see ourselves as capable of handling life's difficulties, we are more likely to persist in the face of adversity. But when we believe that we are powerless or that failure defines us, we are more likely to become paralyzed by challenges. Resilience is rooted in the belief that we are not victims of our circumstances. Instead, we are active participants in our own healing and growth. It's about shifting our perspective and choosing to view setbacks as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Resilience also involves a deep sense of purpose. People who are resilient tend to have a clear sense of why they are pushing forward, even when things are tough. This sense of purpose gives them something to hold on to during the storm, a reason to keep going when everything else seems uncertain. Purpose can come from many places: our families, our passions, our values, or our dreams for the future. When we have something that drives us, something that connects us to a larger vision, we are more able to weather the hardships that come our way. It's important to remember that resilience is not about perfection. It doesn't mean that we are immune to pain or that we never feel defeated. Resilience doesn't mean we never fall apart or that we always have the strength to keep going without faltering. It means that when we do fall, we get back up. Resilience is about embracing the messiness of life, accepting that things won't always go as planned, and giving ourselves permission to stumble along the way. It's the recognition that we are all human, and it's okay to feel vulnerable, to feel weak, to feel lost. What matters is that we keep going. There is also a profound connection between resilience and self-compassion. To be resilient, we must be kind to ourselves when we face challenges. We need to treat ourselves with the same gentleness and understanding that we would offer a friend who is struggling. Resilience is not about pushing through without rest or ignoring our emotional needs. It's about taking care of ourselves so that we have the strength to continue when times are tough. This means acknowledging our limits, seeking support when we need it, and giving ourselves the grace to take breaks when necessary. Resilience doesn't always look the same for everyone. For some, it's about rebuilding after a great loss. For others, it's about persevering through a series of small challenges. No matter the size or nature of the struggle, resilience is about continuing to move forward with the knowledge that no matter what, we have the ability to grow, learn, and thrive. It's a dynamic quality that shifts and changes as we do, evolving with each new challenge we face. In many ways, resilience is the foundation for all other forms of growth. It allows us to turn setbacks into opportunities, failures into lessons, and pain into purpose. Without resilience, we are more likely to become stuck, to let our struggles define us, and to miss the opportunity to discover our strength in the face of difficulty. With resilience, we learn to navigate the highs and lows of life with a sense of grace and determination, knowing that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. Ultimately, resilience is about believing in ourselves and our ability to keep going. It's about trusting that even in the midst of hardship, there is a way forward and that we have the inner strength to find it. It's about acknowledging that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. Resilience is the power to continue, not despite the pain, but because of it to emerge from our struggles stronger, wiser, and more connected to the truth of who we are. Self-compassion is one of the most transformative tools for personal growth. It is the practice of treating ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and patience that we would offer to a friend in need. Yet, for many of us, self-compassion feels like a foreign concept. We are often our harshest critics, holding ourselves to unrealistic standards and beating ourselves up for every mistake or imperfection. But the truth is, self-compassion is not a luxury. It is a necessity for healing, growth, and emotional well-being. It is the key to breaking the cycle of self-judgment and cultivating the resilience needed to face life's challenges. At its core, self-compassion is about recognizing that we are human, and as humans, we are all flawed, vulnerable, and imperfect. This doesn't mean excusing poor behavior or neglecting personal responsibility. Instead, it means accepting that making mistakes, feeling hurt, or struggling is part of being alive. It's about embracing ourselves not in spite of our imperfections, but because of them. When we practice self-compassion, we stop demanding perfection from ourselves and start allowing space for growth and learning. We recognize that it's through our struggles, our missteps, and our failures that we truly evolve and become who we are meant to be. One of the most powerful aspects of self-compassion is that it allows us to let go of shame. Shame tells us that we are unworthy, that we are broken, or that we do not deserve happiness or success. It isolates us, making us believe that we are the only ones who struggle or make mistakes. Self-compassion counters this by helping us recognize that we are not alone in our struggles. Everyone experiences pain, failure, and disappointment. By treating ourselves with compassion, we give ourselves permission to be imperfect without attaching shame to our imperfections. We understand that our mistakes are not a reflection of our worth, but a natural part of our journey. Self-compassion also helps to cultivate a sense of emotional resilience. When we approach ourselves with kindness, we are better equipped to handle setbacks and challenges. Rather than spiraling into self-criticism or self-doubt when we face difficulties, self-compassion encourages us to pause, acknowledge our emotions, and respond with care. It teaches us to be gentle with ourselves in moments of struggle, offering the same support and encouragement we would extend to someone else who is facing hardship. This shift in mindset helps us face our challenges with more grace and less fear, knowing that we are worthy of love and care regardless of the outcome. The practice of self-compassion also promotes a sense of self-acceptance. Too often we are caught in the trap of comparison, measuring ourselves against others and feeling inadequate when we don't measure up. Self-compassion helps us step out of this comparison game and accept ourselves exactly as we are, with all of our strengths and weaknesses. It helps us see that our value is not contingent on external achievements or how we stack up against others. By accepting ourselves with all our flaws and imperfections, we create a solid foundation for growth. We stop trying to be someone else or living up to external expectations, and instead we focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. Another profound benefit of self-compassion is that it encourages us to be present with our emotions rather than avoiding or suppressing them. We often think that in order to grow, we need to be strong, positive, or together all the time. But growth comes from acknowledging our emotions, whether they are fear, sadness, frustration, or joy, and allowing ourselves to feel them fully. Self-compassion gives us permission to be vulnerable with ourselves, to experience our emotions without judgment, and to trust that we don't need to hide or push them away to be worthy of love and respect. It's in this space of emotional acceptance that we can heal, learn, and ultimately grow. When we practice self-compassion, we also start to develop a deeper sense of empathy for others. We recognize that just as we deserve kindness and understanding in our moments of pain, so does everyone else. This shift in perspective allows us to be more compassionate in our relationships, offering others the same warmth and support that we offer ourselves. It fosters deeper connections as we begin to understand that we are all struggling in some way, and we all deserve to be treated with kindness and care. Self-compassion is also linked to improved mental health and well-being. Research shows that individuals who practice self-compassion are less likely to suffer from anxiety, depression, or chronic stress. They are better equipped to handle life's challenges because they approach difficulties with a sense of self-worth and emotional balance. Self-compassion helps us build emotional resilience, reducing the impact of negative experiences and helping us recover more quickly from setbacks. Importantly, self-compassion doesn't mean avoiding responsibility or giving ourselves a free pass when it comes to personal growth. It means treating ourselves with kindness even when we fall short of our own expectations. It means forgiving ourselves when we make mistakes and understanding that growth is a process, not a destination. Self-compassion is about recognizing that we are worthy of care, regardless of how we perform or what we accomplish. It is a tool that allows us to be kinder to ourselves, to embrace our humanity, and to keep moving forward with a sense of peace, even in the face of adversity. In a world that often emphasizes productivity, success, and perfection, self-compassion is a radical act of self-love. It's about giving ourselves permission to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and to grow at our own pace. It's about letting go of the harsh inner critic that holds us back and instead cultivating a nurturing relationship with ourselves. Through self-compassion, we can begin to heal our wounds, embrace our growth, and step into the fullness of who we are meant to be. Letting go is one of the most powerful acts of liberation we can undertake. It is the key to freeing ourselves from the chains of our past, from the weight of our regrets, and from the fears that hold us back. We often think of letting go as a passive act, something that just happens when we resign ourselves to it. But in reality, letting go is an intentional, courageous choice. It is an active decision to release what no longer serves us, whether that be a belief, a relationship, a past mistake, or a painful memory. The process of letting go is not about forgetting or denying what has happened. It's about acknowledging what we've been through, accepting the lessons learned, and then choosing to move forward without carrying the burden of the past. We often hold on to things because we believe they define us, our mistakes, our pain, our struggles. We identify with them, thinking that they are an integral part of who we are. But the truth is, holding on to the past only keeps us stuck. It keeps us tethered to experiences that no longer serve our growth. Letting go frees us to create a new narrative, one where we are not bound by what we've been through, but empowered by the strength we've gained. One of the most difficult things to let go of is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. These fears can be paralyzing. They shape the decisions we make and the way we show up in the world, but fear is often rooted in the past or in imagined futures. It thrives when we hold on to what might go wrong instead of trusting ourselves to navigate whatever comes. Letting go of fear means trusting that we are capable of handling uncertainty, of embracing the unknown, and of moving forward even when we don't have all the answers. It's about acknowledging that fear may never completely disappear, but that it doesn't have to control us. Another thing we must learn to let go of is perfection. Many of us hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, constantly striving to be better, do more, and achieve everything we set our minds to. While striving for growth is important, the pursuit of perfection often leads to self-criticism, burnout, and disappointment. Letting go of perfection doesn't mean giving up on our goals or becoming complacent. It means releasing the belief that we must be flawless in order to be worthy. It means embracing the idea that we are enough as we are, even in our imperfections. By letting go of perfection, we open ourselves up to the possibility of real growth where mistakes are not failures but opportunities to learn and improve. Letting go also means releasing attachment to outcomes. We often become so focused on a specific result that we lose sight of the process itself. We become rigid in our expectations, believing that the only way to be happy or fulfilled is by achieving a certain thing. But life is unpredictable, and our best laid plans often don't unfold in the way we imagine. Letting go of attachment to outcomes means embracing the journey, trusting that wherever it leads, we will find meaning and purpose. It's about having the flexibility to adapt to whatever life presents and the wisdom to know that sometimes the detours are the most valuable part of the journey. It's also important to let go of the need to control everything around us. We live in often encourages us to manipulate circumstances, people, and situations to fit our desires. We believe that if we just work hard enough or plan enough, we can make everything go our way. But control is an illusion. We cannot dictate everything that happens to us or around us. Letting go of control means surrendering to the flow of life, trusting that there is a greater plan at work, and having faith that we are capable of navigating whatever comes our way. It doesn't mean being passive or passive-aggressive. It means accepting that there is freedom in uncertainty and that we don't have to have all the answers to be at peace. Perhaps one of the most profound things we must let go of is the need for approval from others. We live in a world where external validation often feels like the currency of worthiness. We seek approval from our families, our friends, our colleagues, and even strangers on social media, hoping that their praise will fill the void within. But the truth is, no amount of external validation can make us feel truly whole. The approval we seek from others is often fleeting and dependent on their perspectives, which may not always align with our own truth. Letting go of the need for external validation means turning inward and recognizing that our worth is not contingent upon the opinions of others. It is about cultivating a deep sense of self-respect, self-love, and confidence, knowing that we are enough just as we are. Letting go is not a one-time event. It is a continual practice. It is a process of releasing what no longer serves us and creating space for new opportunities, new experiences, and new ways of being. Every time we let go, we create a little more room for healing, for growth, and for joy. It is about living in alignment with who we truly are rather than who we should be. Letting go brings us closer to our authentic selves, to the part of us that is whole, at peace, and capable of experiencing freedom. The more we let go, the lighter we feel, and the more we can move through life with ease, knowing that we are not defined by our past, our fears, or our need to control. Instead, we are free to embrace the present moment and the possibilities that lie ahead. In the end, true freedom lies in our ability to let go. Letting go of fear, perfection, attachment, control, and the need for external approval frees us to live fully and authentically. It allows us to embrace the journey of our lives without being weighed down by the past or the future. It creates space for growth, healing, and the discovery of who we are beyond our struggles. By choosing to release what no longer serves us, we make room for what is waiting to unfold, the new opportunities, the lessons, and the connections that will help us continue to evolve. So let it end, let it hurt, let it heal, and most importantly, let it go. In that release, we find the strength, peace, and freedom we've been searching for all along.